Have you ever thrown a disc, seen it fly, and wondered, why is my disc acting more overstable, stable, or understable? Why is it flying like that? Well, you are most certainly not alone, because a disc flight is determined by so many factors, really all happening at once. So one would say that a disc stability is quite tricky to fully understand. So today on JustDisc, we've compiled a list of 8 factors that affect a disc stability, so that you can get a better understanding on how your discs fly. So let's get into it. Now, if you're wondering what disc stability is, or you're a little unclear, make sure you check out our What is Disc Stability video to get a better understanding before you proceed. Starting off with the first factor that affects a disc stability, and really the main factor, and that's a disc mold. A disc's speed, glide, turn, and fade are going to be the first indicators that tell you why a disc is flying a certain way. So if a disc has a lot of fade, it's going to want to fade to the left, and if a disc has a lot of turn, it's going to want to turn to the right, evidently if throwing right-hand backhand. But if you don't throw it at the correct speed, it's not going to give you the intended flight. Now, if you want a little bit more info on the flight rating system, or you're confused, make sure you check out our video right here. Now, the second factor affecting a disc stability is the type of plastic. And we've done a few plastic videos, so you can check them out right here if you want more clarification. But a base plastic or a cheaper plastic is going to be less stable, so more understable than a premium plastic that costs a bit more. Therefore, plastics like the Pro D or the DX, they're going to have more natural turn to them. They're really going to be easier to throw than something like a Z or a Champion plastic. Now, the third factor that can affect a disc stability is a disc weight. Naturally, a lighter disc is going to be easier to put power and spin, and when you put more power and spin, you get more turn out of the disc. And this is why you sometimes hear of people getting their higher speed discs a little bit lighter, because they're easier to get that full flight, easier to get that turn into the disc when compared to one that is heavy. Now, the fourth factor that can affect a disc stability is the speed at which the disc is thrown. If, for instance, you take a 10-speed disc and you only throw it at a 5-speed, there's going to be more stability added to the disc. It's going to act more overstable, so you're going to get more natural fade. But if you take that same disc and you throw it at a 13-speed, it's going to be less stable. It's going to be more understable, and you're going to get more turn out of the disc. Moving on to the fifth factor that can affect a disc stability, and that's the nose angle upon releasing the disc. Now, this one is very important, and to be honest, they all are, but this one especially, and it's a common reason why so many players are not getting their ideal or true distance. If you release a disc with its nose angled upwards, the wind's going to push underneath it, and it's going to act more overstable than it should. So you're going to get more fade. Now, obviously, if you throw the disc with its nose angled down, it's going to get more of that true flight, it's going to be more understable, and it's going to get just that natural, nice turn to it. Now, looking at the sixth factor that affects a disc stability, and that's the disc condition. Older discs change their flight over time once they've been worn out and they've hit a few trees, so they become more understable. And this is why you see a lot of professionals with 5 discs of the same mold but at different stages of wear or different stages of stability. Therefore, newer discs are going to be more overstable, they're going to have more fade, whereas older discs, they're going to change their flight over time, they're going to have more turn, and thus be more understable. Moving on to the seventh factor that can affect a disc stability, and that's the weather conditions. Evidently, the atmosphere that you're throwing the disc in is going to have a big influence on a disc stability. And there are so many factors, but we're really going to take a look at 2: temperature and wind. With hotter temperatures, the air is less dense, and therefore the disc will fly farther through the air. This therefore means that if you're playing in the summer, your discs are going to act a little bit more understable than they normally should. And evidently, it's the opposite in the winter. They're going to act more overstable, and you're going to get a lot more fade out of your discs. Now, with wind, it's also very important. So a headwind is going to make the disc more understable. It's really going to want to turn more easily to the right if throwing right-hand backhand. So a more overstable disc is great for really counteracting that. And evidently, it's the opposite with a tailwind. It wants to act more overstable, so a more understable disc to really counteract that fade is ideal. Moving on to the 8th and final factor that affects a disc stability, and that's elevation. Now, when you're throwing a disc uphill, due to the disc nose angled upwards, the disc is going to act more overstable. It's going to want to fade out a little sooner to the left. And obviously, if you're throwing a disc downhill, it's going to have the opposite effect because of the nose angled down, as well as the time it has to kind of catch some speed. The disc is going to act more understable. It's going to want to turn a little bit sooner to the right. Well, there you have it. Those are the 8 factors that can affect a disc stability. And with knowing these factors and putting in the practice, we truly hope this helps speed up your understanding and growth in the game. Now, there are perhaps some that we forgot or some that are more specific. Make sure you let us know in the comments below. And if you don't mind, please subscribe, like, and comment if you haven't already, and be sure to check out some of our other helpful, informative videos. Thanks as always for watching JustDisc, and we'll see you in the next one. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt.